Over the last 3 months, I've generated over 5 figures in revenue using cold email for my business and my clients' businesses. When it comes to cold email, there are two types of people: those who send out a bunch of emails and get no results, and those who don't know where to start, end up getting lost in the weeds, and don't get any results because they don't even know where to begin. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 3 most common mistakes that people make when it comes to cold email outreach. Let's hop into the video. Before you even start sending emails, you need to know exactly who you're targeting. That's mistake number 1, not having a hyper-specific ideal customer profile locked in. The best cold email campaigns across different verticals, across niches, all have a couple things in common. They all start with hyper-specific targeting. If you don't understand your audience, the best messaging in the world is going to fall on deaf ears. Think about the last time that you saw a billboard or an ad on your phone or on TV. Think about, did it resonate with you? If it did, you probably were the target audience. If it didn't, you weren't. And so taking that concept and applying it to your own outreach, which is in effect an ad, making sure that it's hyper specific and hyper relevant to who the intended audience and the intended recipient of your message is. So in this case, specificity really wins. Gone are the days of spray and pray. You can't just download or buy a list off Fiverr and send it out without any sort of analysis. You need to take a step back, figure out exactly who your ideal client is. And so a way to do that is look at your existing client base. Think about the types of companies that you've had outsized returns for, who you've generated the best results for, and start there. Once you have a list of companies that you know you can be successful with, go and find some other lookalike companies. So a good way to do that is by finding common ground across the different companies. Things like the vertical that they're in, the size of the company or how many employees they have, their specific geographic location if it's relevant. Sometimes you might want to think about the technologies that they use or a technographic search, which could indicate that they could be interested in your service. Or perhaps thinking about companies that might be hiring for a specific role today. Those are all things and ways in which you can triangulate the basis for a good list, right? So it's well and good if you have a big company, but if you're just starting out or you're pivoting your offer, looking to get into a specifically different niche, what you want to do is just build a dream list of clients. Figure out those top clients that you think you could drive results for and start there. Now that you have a list of companies and domains, you want to actually find the ideal titles of people at those companies. So depending on the size of the company, you're going to want to be targeting a different type of person or level within the hierarchy. But the fact of the matter is, start with the company and then find the people underneath it. The way that I like to do that is use one of the main data providers. Apollo is really a solid data service. ZoomInfo is also good. I've used it in the past. Hey, real quick, if you're a B2B business and you're looking for more qualified sales appointments each month with your ideal client on autopilot, then hit the first link in the description below. Now that's it. Let's get back to the video. All right, now that we have our lead list, next step, we got to validate. Mistake number 2, folks don't validate their list, which results in decreased deliverability and ending up in the spam folder. The way that you do this, simply use a data validation service, which I'll get to in a minute. But to think about deliverability, bad deliverability is an absolute cold email campaign killer. And when I'm talking about deliverability, bad means 5% or more bounce rate. Now, if you think about the data that's coming out of a data provider without any additional validation, 40% of the emails are going to be bad data. So what that means is every 100 leads that you scrape, only 60 of them are going to end up in the inbox. So if you're getting 40% that are bouncing back, that's going to be a detriment to your sending domain, and you're going to be ending up in spam folders. You're going to be ending up in the promotions tab. And so there's a couple things that are issue with that, but first and foremost, you're wasting your own time and resources. And second of that is you're not actually going to get any feedback from the market. If you're ending up in the spam black hole, you're not going to know if your messaging is resonating. You're not going to know if the offer is resonating. You're not going to know if your targeting is on point. So it's super, super essential to clean your lists. And, that's something that I recommend 100% of the time. So plain and simple, right? If email servers are getting smarter and smarter and smarter over time, you absolutely need to clean those lists. And so the way to do that, I like to use one called Million Verifier. Another data provider that others like to use is called NeverBounce. And there's quite a few others. I'll let you do some research on that, but I like to use Million Verifier. Now we have a highly targeted lead list that's validated. The next step is to put together our campaign copy. That leads us to mistake number 3, simply having terrible copy. People are super busy. Think about the amount of messaging that we're being inundated with. Attention spans are getting shorter by the day, and advertisers are fighting for our attention in every device, every television, all over the place. Think about the last time you got that email from someone saying, "I hope this message finds you well." That makes me cringe. Last time I got that, I certainly did not reply to the email. If you've got an email like that recently and you reply to it, I'd actually like to know in the comments below. But for the most part, anybody that I know is not responding to those emails. The point being is that you need to be able to have empathy when it comes to writing cold email. And you need to be able to look at the campaign that you've put together and think, is this something that I would actually respond to? If it is, great. If it's not, you need to go back and reformulate it, relook at it, and make sure that it's something that you would, with any level of certainty, respond to. That's step number 1 when it comes to putting together copy that works. But as far as some of the key points of a specific cold email campaign, there's a couple things, 3 specifically. Personalization, first and foremost, having the mechanism for your results and having a call to action. So what I mean by personalization, that can also be synonymous with relevancy, but you need to make sure that what you're speaking to is in fact a pain point of the prospect. You need to understand exactly what it is that they care about. The next step, the mechanism for the results, that's what is the thing that is actually going to be generating the results for the client and the time frame in which they can expect to achieve them. And then the last step, call to action, simply what is the next step that the prospect should take given your email. When it comes to cold emails, think about it in a funnel in itself. You're pushing them one step closer to making a buying decision. You're not actually thinking about trying to have them buy on the email. The goal, push them one step closer. In this case, take a meeting, perhaps watch a Loom video, subscribe to a newsletter. Those are a couple common calls to action. So thinking about personalization, again, this ties in with understanding your ideal customer and your target audience. Make sure you understand their pain points. What have they tried in the past? What have they failed at? What are some of their main objectives in the role that they're in today? What is their ultimate dream result? What are they really looking to achieve in working with a service like yours? And again, how long can they expect it? If you're having trouble putting yourself in the shoes of the prospect, I would suggest doing a quick Google search. If you want to take it a step further, you can use ChatGPT, do a simple query. I like to ask a question like, what are some of the biggest needs and areas of opportunity for a business owner who wants to invest in your service? It'll spit back quite a few bullet points of relevant ideas that you can then use as the basis of your why them, why now. Transitioning to the mechanism for results, thinking about an offer, right? Lots of people have a very broad offer. That's awesome because you can service a lot of people. However, the more specific, the better. And a very specific offer is going to convert better than a broad offer. So if you're selling CRO, SEO, and paid ads, a good idea would be to test each angle in an email versus testing them all in one. So after a long period of time, you can start getting feedback from the market. And, if the SEO offer is ripping more than the CRO offer, then you might decide that that's when you want to go out to the market with more certainty and at a greater volume. Again, the thing to think about here is simplicity wins. You got to make sure that you're making it very, very clear what result that they can expect to achieve in working with your service. Again, we don't want to focus on the features. Those are all great, and those might be additional reasons why someone would buy, but the reason why they're really buying is the result. How's their life going to be better? Are they going to make more money? Are they going to save money? Are they going to have more time? Are they going to achieve some sort of personal goal or look better in the eyes of their colleagues or their boss or their partner or their relationships? There's the qualitative factors, and then there's the quantitative factors for the reasons why people want to make a buying decision. So, you got to appeal sometimes to the logic, and sometimes you got to appeal to the emotion, dependent on the style of the offer. But simply, the result is the cornerstone and most important part. The last part of a cold email is going to be the call to action. So simply, again, we're pushing them through the funnel. What are they supposed to do? Short and to the point often works. Interested ? That can work. Lower friction is typically better to elicit a response. Once they've responded with some sort of intent, then you can start to try to actually book them into a meeting. Now, final point on copy, as I mentioned before, testing a couple different angles. That's something that you need to do all the time. You can't run any cold email campaign in a vacuum. It needs to be tested like a scientist. So you should have a control group, and you should be testing variables, like testing specific angles or specific offers or testing a specific call to action. You can't be testing all different things at once, or else you're never going to know what exactly it is that's changing or driving the result. And so making sure that you're testing at least 2, upwards of 4 and 5 versions of each email. That's going to be the conclusion of the bad copy portion. But I did want to add one additional bonus, which is around volume, right? So what do I mean when I say volume? You can't just have 50 emails and say, oh, nobody responded. That means it's bad. You need to be sending way more. It's in the numbers of hundreds and thousands of emails. You need to be cognizant of your sample size. And so if it's not quite statistically significant, then you're going to need to send more. Once that number gets to the point where it can be significant, then you might want to start to take a look and actually dig into it and check out the data. But you're looking at 50 versus 50. There's variance when it comes to averages on a long term. And so that's often not a good proxy or data point at that point. And so you need to be sending more and more volume. So to recap, I've touched on quite a few things in this video, but wanted to just say what the top 3 mistakes are one more time, right? Not having a specific enough audience, first and foremost. Second, you got to validate the lead list. Third, you got to make sure that your campaign copy is on point. It's short, it's concise, it's to the point. It presents an offer in the form of a dream result and an expected end goal. Think about it as a transformation. And then the last bonus mistake that people use is they don't have enough volume. So before I end off this video, I just want to say one more time that if you're a B2B business and you want more qualified sales meetings each month with your ideal client on autopilot, then hit that first link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content around lead generation tactics, how-tos, then hit subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends, send a comment if you'd like, and I'll see you in the next video.